Hi everyone, it's Terrie Vanover here, and I'm a divorce strategist, and I help you come through divorce without being legally, financially, and emotionally devastated. But more importantly, I help you to heal from divorce so that you can transition confidently into that next phase of your life, so that you can find what you're meant to do, and so you can find a happy, healthy new relationship. So today's topic is how to handle a high conflict ex. So maybe you are in the midst of a divorce and you have a high conflict ex. Maybe you're in a blended family and there's an ex who is constantly barraging you in terms of getting in the way of your parenting and those types of things. So how do you handle a high conflict ex? So the first tip that I have for you is to take accountability for yourself. And it's a little controversial because I think it's really easy to blame the other person and to really say, oh, it's all their fault. They're very high conflict. They're a narcissist. They're this, they're that, right? And it is true. Dealing with difficult people can often, put us under a lot of stress. But we can look at stress and we can look at these things as opportunities for growth. So ask yourself, how am I contributing to this relationship in a way that's not constructive? How can I change and contribute in a way that's constructive? And I do work with a lot of clients that are dealing with a lot of high conflict people. And the truth is, we look at some patterns, we look at some behaviors, and we look at how they can show up differently. And the truth is, you can't change anyone else. You can only change how you're showing up in relationships. And believe me, when you show up differently in the relationships, those around you will show up differently. When you disengage from that person and you're no longer a part of the negative cycle and you're not feeding into that, you're now part of the solution. You can change how you are interacting with this person and how you're showing up. And by taking accountability for yourself, that's the first step. And here's the thing. Once you've had one divorce, the chance of you having another divorce is 67 to 70%. So it is really, really, really important that you take accountability for how you're showing up in these relationships, because you're the common denominator. And here's the other great thing about that. It sounds like I'm putting you down or it's your fault, and that's not what I'm saying at all. Here's the great thing is when you recognize how you're contributing, you can shift and stop blaming the other person. You actually are no longer the victim of that other person. You can start to feel empowered because you can make the changes you need in yourself. So it's actually a really empowering thing when you're no longer a victim to anyone else or to the circumstance. You can take accountability for yourself and look at your thinking and reflect on yourself and figure out, how can I shift this in myself? Whether it's your mindset, your feelings, maybe you're allowing someone to trigger you, right? So you can take back your power. So the second tip that I have for you is to look at your own patterns and look at their patterns. So oftentimes the reason there's a divorce is because two people have a pattern of communication. And like I said, it's about taking responsibility. If you recognize what your pattern is, how you communicate, and break those patterns, you can then start to create better patterns. I have a client who recognizes that a much better way of communication is through texting and written communication. For my client and their spouse, that tends to be a much more productive way of communicating, because when they get into verbal interactions, it quickly devolves into something else. So looking at the patterns and then identifying your triggers, right? So that's the key one. So I have a thing that if someone is triggering you, it is your message. I consider that a message. This person is a messenger who is trying to tell you that there's a part of you that you need to heal. And I speak that from experience. I had a high conflict person in my life. And what I recognized, I can't change this person. I cannot change this person. But they triggered me and they, challenged a lot of my beliefs. And I recognized that, hey, I have a lot of judgments around this. I have a lot of story around this. I need to look at this, right? I need to take accountability for how I'm showing up in this relationship and recognize that the triggers are something within me that I need to heal. I have a client who has a very volatile um, partner and or ex, I should say, and recognizing his patterns was key, right? Because she recognized that, oh, it's the end of the month, it's his, child support is going to be deducted from his paycheck, so he's going to go on a rant. And so recognizing that helped her to depersonalize that. Like, oh, it's the end of the month, I know what's going. He's being triggered, right, by his own money beliefs or whatever, or the stories that he has in his head, and not allowing him sending those berating messages and texts and blocking them immediately, disengaging from that, and understanding like, oh, he's triggered, I know what the pattern is. So she would could disengage from that and depersonalize that. But also what we did was we looked really intently on healing those broken parts of her where he would say some really nasty things, and no one deserves that. No one deserves that. But he would say nasty things. And because the thing is, your spouse, your ex-spouse knows the buttons to push, right? They know your insecurities. They know the wounds that you have, and they know how to put their finger in those wounds and rub salt in those wounds to make them even worse, right? Our insecurities as a mother, for me, for example, our insecurities maybe in your looks or your weight, or as a parent, or clients where they're emasculated, so all those things are triggers for us. So but the great thing is if you heal that and you get to the root of it and you heal that wound, when that person starts lashing out at you, you're no longer emotionally connected to that. You're disconnected. You've healed that. It's no longer an issue for you. So that's why I say, if someone is triggering you, they're a messenger that's telling you, look, you got to heal this. And the great thing is, you're going to get healed, and you're going to not only get healed, but my goal is to transform you so that then you can take that and become a better person, become a better version of yourself, become more secure, more confident, more loving, more open, more willing to receive. And so that will really be life changing. And then you can take that and you can become a better mother and a better spouse and a better father. And you can be a better version of yourself. And guess what? You're going to be attracting better versions, or better versions of the people you're dating, actually. Yeah. So when we attract what we are, so if you're broken and you're insecure, you're going to attract those kinds of people to you. If you're a nice guy and you let people take advantage of you, and those women, they know how to overrun those boundaries and take advantage, and it's really not healthy. It is not healthy, and we're setting up those types of relationships for our children. That was a big reason I really, really do what I do, and I heal myself, because I don't want my children to repeat my patterns. And believe you me, 99.9% of the people that I get on the phone with, the light bulb comes on that, oh my God, I am repeating my parents' relationship. Maybe reverse, genders, but I am repeating my mother's mistakes, or I am um, the nice guy that's letting my spouse walk all over me like my dad did, or maybe my dad abused me as a child and I'm just repeating repeating the cycle. So it's so important that you do what's needed and necessary to change this. Believe me. And when you do, you're going to be so much happier and healthier and whole. And then setting clear boundaries. That's my last thing. I've been going on a long time. So set those clear boundaries, but then adhere to them. Because that's the other issue that I see with so many of my clients is because it might have been a trauma bonded relationship. And if you haven't watched my video on that, please do on second guessing. Because you might be second guessing yourself and it's a trauma bonded relationship, you may unconsciously kind of feel the need to, like, when that spouse, you let your guard down. So you set those healthy boundaries. You know you don't want to talk to your ex, but when they get nice again, you let your guard down and you let your boundaries down. And the key to dealing with high conflict, toxic, narcissistic people is you have to have clear boundaries no matter what, because they don't know how to stop. They will keep pushing and pushing and pushing. So you have to hold firm and understand what those boundaries are. But so many of us, we want to please that toxic person, right? You're like, oh, things are so good. I just want it to continue to be good. But the thing is, this is a trick. This is a manipulation tactic. When it doesn't serve them or when they want control again, they're going to go right back to their old habits and they're going to go right back to their old behaviors and lashing out at you. So you need to understand and really get clear on what your boundaries are. So I'm Terrie Vanover, and I know that it can be so difficult to deal with a narcissistic person, a high conflict person, a toxic person, right? And you need to heal yourself from that relationship so that you're not repeating that. Or worse yet, I'm telling you, your children are likely to repeat this pattern unless you do the work that you need to heal yourself. And I'm telling you, it's so possible. So if you're struggling, if you're having a hard time dealing with a high conflict ex, or if your ex is constantly texting you and triggering you, if there's someone in your life that's making you miserable, you need to take back control. You need to take back control. Don't allow that person to rob you of your joy. And I can help you with that. So reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. We can hop on a call and I can show you some tips for getting back your control and getting back your power. Okay? All right. I will talk to you soon. See you later. All right. Bye-bye.